It is the postseason edition of the Bottom 10 right here at the Voice of College Football. Not gaining quite the popularity of the top 25 that actually makes sense, but it's on the move. All right, we appreciate you being here at the Voice of College Football. Please like and subscribe and leave those comments down below. This is a fun list. So this is not technically the 10 worst teams in the country. We have at times recognized bad coaching moves. We have recognized horrible offenses, horrible defenses, horrible streaks. So these are not the 10 worst. We're just having some fun right here. And we would like for you to comment with your bottom 10 down below. Let's start at number 10 with not a team, not an offense, not a defense, not a coach, but a conference. Welcome to the bottom 10 ACC, and you earned it with a 2-11 record in postseason play. And for those of you who say bowls don't matter, 0-2 for the ACC in the college football playoff, having been outscored 76-34. Oh, if you want to look beyond that, the ACC's record in the Power 5 against out-of-conference opponents in the regular season, 9-16. 7 losses for the ACC against a group of 5. That's the most losses by far of any power conference against a group of 5, and many, many others that were close calls, i.e. Western Kentucky 21, Boston College 20, and many others. At number 10, having securely earned this position in the bottom 10, the horrific ACC. This team has lived in the bottom 10 for a few months, so I've got these stats locked and loaded. They brought back 21 starters from a team that made it to the conference championship game. They brought back a 7th-year quarterback, a rushing champion, national rushing champion, possibly the best wide receiver duo at the time evaluated in the conference. But they went 0-9 in the Big 12. We're talking, of course, Oklahoma State under Mike Gundy. Horrific season. It started in conference play with a narrow 22-19 loss to Utah, and of course Utah was going to be the best team in the Big 12, so not a big deal there, but yes, it turned out to be. This team, again, horrific, losing 4 games in the conference by at least 3 scores, capped off by that 52-0 showing against Colorado, so they weren't even just awful, but they quit. At number 9 in our bottom 10, the Pokes. Our next entry has the dubious distinction of being the best team, the best program in our bottom 10. Miami has not won an ACC championship. They entered the conference in 2004. Based on their dominance in the previous few seasons, it seemed ludicrous that Miami could go just a few seasons without winning a marginal conference like the ACC. But here we are, 22 seasons later, Miami 0 in the ACC. They've only made it to one conference championship game, but they had that all taken care of this season, of course, because they won the first 9 games of the season. Well, lost to Georgia Tech. Okay, they're still right there with destiny in their hands to go to the ACC championship game. And they're leading at Syracuse 21-0. But they blew it and blew a chance to go to the ACC championship game, and also blew in their bowl game a 10-point lead as Cam Ward quit in the second half, en route to their 11th win, which would have been Miami's first 11-win season since 2003. But no, it was not to be. They lost 3 of their final 4 games, finished at 10-3. At number 8 in our bottom 10, Mario Cristobal and the Canes. Next up in our bottom 10 right here at the Voice of College Football, please like the video and subscribe, is a team we've already mentioned. And they got off to a 4-0 start. They were the prohibitive favorites to win the Big 12 in their first season. Kyle Whittingham, great program. They won 2 of the final 3 Pac-12 championships. They had already defeated Baylor in a weird non-conference game, and then also a win against Oklahoma State. So it wasn't impressive, it wasn't pretty, but 4-0 for Utah. Seemed like they were doing what they were expected to do, take control of the Big 12. 8 straight losses. The offense finished number 115 in the nation in total offense, number 111 in points, and number 102 in yards per play. They even lost to Houston. Well, they won the final game against UCF, but 8 consecutive losses, a dismal 2-7 showing in the Big 12. At number 7 in our bottom 10, the Utes. I'm going to ease the pain of the next fan base represented in our bottom 10 right here at the Voice of College Football. Please like and subscribe by letting you know this is the most understandable entry. Honeymoon period for your first-year head coach, Jeff Lebby. Of course, I'm talking about Mississippi State. Capped it off with a strong showing against rival Ole Miss, one of the top 10 or 15 teams in the nation. So Mississippi State, not so bad from those standpoints. Again, honeymoon period for your head coach. He needs to start to kick it into gear now. But along the way, 2-10, worst season since 2003. 0-8 in the SEC, first winless conference record since 2002. Lost to Toledo, group of 5 team by 24 at home. So we're not completely letting you off the hook. Mississippi State at number 6 in our bottom 10. Hail State! We stay in the Magnolia State for number 5 on our list right here at the Voice of College Football. The bottom 10 also includes USM, Southern Miss, fine 1-11 season. For the Sun Belt Conference. Their only win, Southeast Louisiana. So throw them out. They went 0-11 against the FBS. They got outscored 443 to 148 by an average score of 40-10. They lost 7 of those 11 games by at least 3 touchdowns. Their quarterbacks threw 7 touchdowns this year. This is not 1973. 7 touchdowns, 17 interceptions, 52% for the USM quarterbacks. At number 5 on our bottom 10, Southern Miss. Remember when I said off the top that there was a bit of a wink-wink factor to the bottom 10 here at the Voice of College Football? Enter Washington State. Mark, they went 8-5. How'd they make the bottom 10? Well, first of all, the Pac-12 imploded, destroyed, gone, annihilated. Yes, it still technically exists and will, again, be fortified by members coming in from the Mountain West starting in a couple seasons. So there will be a Pac-12 in Washington State, one of the stalwarts who stuck around or had nowhere else to go. So basically everybody else found refuge in, the Big Ten or the ACC, except for Oregon State and Washington State. Why Washington State on the list instead of Oregon State, even though the Beavers finished 5-7. Washington State went 8-5. They went to a bowl game. Well, there was a head-to-head battle for the conference championship, the Pac-12 championship. Wazoo had a 50-50 chance of winning the conference championship, but they lost by a field goal to Oregon State. So they finished in dead last place in the Pac-12. They also, after the season, lost their quarterback, lost their head coach. 4 straight losses after an 8-1 start. At number 4 on our bottom 10, Wazoo. We've got to give it up to my alma mater, the mighty Golden Flashes. They are a fixture, a mainstay in the bottom 10 right here at the Voice of College Football. Please like and subscribe. 0-12 this season. Seems like Kent State pretty much lives at 1-11. Could not even eke out a win against anybody in the MAC. I don't believe they had that FCS opponent to beat up on it to get that one win. The worst program in the history of college football, even though they've delivered to us NFL Hall of Famers, College Football Hall of Famers. The list goes on. Check out the short that I posted with the trivia on Kent State of the remarkable run of successful football talent and head coaching talent produced by one Kent State University. It's unbelievable, but the worst record in the history of the game, and they just continue to dig that hole. 0-12. Outscored this season 529 to 167. That's an average of 44 to 14 per game. Back-to-back losses to Tennessee and Penn State. Poor Kent, while the administration gets to cash those paychecks for going to places like Knoxville and Happy Valley, the players get beat up by the tune of 71-0 and 56-0 at 0-12. Hail Kent. Purdue's a team that has become accustomed, like Kent, losing to MAC teams. They didn't do it this year. They didn't schedule anyone out of the MAC. But after beating up on Indiana State in the opener, Purdue, 11 straight losses. Out Ryan Walters. We gave you 2 years to build a football program or maintain a football program because, of course, the Western Division Championship was Jeff Brahms in his final season at Purdue. And way back in 2022, Ryan Walters Abysmal. Again, 0-11 against the FBS. Outscored 479 to 133. That's an average of 44 to 12 per game. Purdue has the distinction of having lined up, in addition to Penn State and Indiana, only one of 3 teams that lined up against both national championship game participants. However, they didn't show any kind of a pulse like a Penn State or an Indiana. They lost to Ohio State 45-0. They lost to Notre Dame 66-7. Ryan Walters out. Barry Odom, it's all yours. Our number 2 team in the bottom 10 right here at the Voice of College Football. Boiler up! I do believe that the number 1 position in our bottom 10 right here at the Voice of College Football has been secured by this team since week 2, when they lost as a double-digit favorite for a second straight week against Boston College and scoring just 13 points. In fact, this team, you know who they are, scored 13, 12, 14, 16, 13, 16, 14, 11, 3 and 11 against FBS opponents. They lost to a group of 5 in Memphis. They are Florida State. The worst decline in the history of college football. If there is a worse example or a better example of being worse one season to the next, please provide it in the comments section. I cannot fathom this. It has certainly not happened since I've been watching college football since the late 1970s. From 12-0 to 2-10. From preseason top 10 to 2-10 with only one precious win against the FBS, and that was against Cal because Cal missed 3 field goals. Florida State won 14-9. If Cal would have made one of those field goals earlier, they could have kicked the game-winning field goal when they were in the red zone at the conclusion of the game. The very worst offense in college football, number 132. I guess there's 135 now, but what does it matter? Florida State, Mike Norvell, you have secured it with exclamation marks, underlining, boldface, all over it. Number 1 in our bottom 10 right here at the Voice of College Football, FSU. We appreciate you being here. Lock it in. Now that it's the off season, all sorts of ratings and rankings are coming your way, whether it be currently going into top 2025 with our way too early top 25. That actually makes sense. And of course, our historic rankings are coming as well. So keep it locked in right here at the Voice of College Football.